Well, we'll come to this segment called the third-party credibility. The third-party credibility is really, it's probably one of the most important tools in building your business, because this is when someone with more experience than you do, or not necessarily with more experience, but someone that is in a position to cross-reference what it is you shared to help you and your prospect to see the big picture. Third-party credibility has been instrumental in our lives, Tammy and I, to build our business. In fact, I could probably credit most of our success that we have in network marketing due to the fact that we utilize third-party credibility throughout our journey in Max International.
Third-party credibility. So why it's important, we're going to go through that, when to use it, and how to use third-party credibility.
Now, what's important, why is it important, is one, it builds credibility, right? You've heard the expression where you talk to your own brother, your brother grew up with you, and suddenly a stranger says exactly what you said, and for some reason, whatever the stranger said makes total sense to them, even though you repeated the exact same thing, right? So it builds credibility, right? Connects your prospect to something bigger. You know, sometimes you might be looking at this opportunity as something as an opportunity for you, but maybe you haven't seen the big picture yet, or you haven't seen the size of this opportunity yet. But someone who has got some success or might have a bigger horizon that can help you and help your prospect see something bigger that maybe you've shared in this opportunity or what it is that we're offering, right? 3 is, and again, it builds the relationship, right? We one of the very important thing in third-party credibility is that third-party person, the person who's there to support you, their role, and Tammy will touch on that a little later, is to help you build that relationship with that person and the relationship with the opportunity that we have. It's also very cost-effective, right? It's just a phone call away instead of dealing with driving and bringing someone to your house, or it could be quite expensive. Where utilizing third-party credibility within a few minutes, you can achieve so much, very cost-effective. It's also time-effective. I mean, the time it takes to get into your car, to get all dressed up, deal with traffic, and so forth. I mean, third-party credibility is absolutely critical and very cost-effective, very time-effective. But it very important is business building while you're being trained. Very often people say, "Hey, Chris, can you mentor me?" You know what? The best mentor that I have done is through third-party credibility. If you simply use a leader who have experience and bring him into your third-party calls, you will learn so much just by listening to what they're sharing based on their own experience. The other thing too is it validates you. So why it's important? So if you're doing a call, and anybody who has experience in this business, they know that it's about you and your prospect, not about them being whatever they've achieved, but it's about you and your prospect. So it validates you, right? And the next thing too is it helps you move your prospect to the next step. You might be having a hard time getting off the product, or kind of getting off the way they feel about the industry maybe, and someone who has a bigger perspective of what's going on may help you get your prospect to the next step. Number 9, where important, is duplication. If you duplicate the third-party credibility within yourself, within your organization, you will see growth like you've never seen before.
So when do you use third-party credibility? And if you're brand new, it's always important to set up a call with your sponsor, with your mentor, before the call is being conducted, because you're going to have objections. And you want to learn from experienced people first. But if you've built this business for a while, you can start with the beginning stages of what did you like best about what you saw, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself, and then you can introduce the prospect to your mentor. So if you're brand new, get your leader on the call right away. You're going to introduce them, and we'll explain that to you after. And then the mentor, your sponsor, will ask the questions and you'll learn from that. Make sure you always have a pen and a paper so that you can jot down what your sponsor is saying and how they're asking the questions.
Totally agree with that. So now we're going to talk about the how-tos. Number one is, for example, determine the purpose and desired outcome of your conversation. So what is the goal? What is your goal of this third-party call? The example, maybe you want him to try the product, or maybe you want him to come to an event, or you want him to enroll a business. So number two is you need to plan ahead for your third-party exposure, right? And again, that could be at a presentation, right? It could be a one-on-one meeting or by phone. So plan ahead on what it is that you're looking for. What's the outcome, right? And number three is brief your mentor on the prospect and the purpose of the call, the desired outcome you're looking for. Very often, I know, associates are not experienced. They ask me to do a three-way call. I have no idea what their goals are. I don't know what they want. So, I use my own experience and I feel it out as I start talking with the prospect. But the more the mentor or the leader that you're working with, the third-party credibility, the person that adds to your call, the more you give him some information. It doesn't have to be detail, but a little bit about the purpose of the call. In other words, who's this person? What are they looking for? What have they tried? Where are you looking at the opportunity or looking at the product? And the more clarity you have there, the better outcome you will have in the conversation. Number four is that if you're doing a three-way call, make sure that you know your technology works. Right? Don't just depend on your upline leader. Call the company. Call the Bell, Rogers, or Verizon, whatever phone company you're dealing with here, and ask them to help you in utilizing your equipment. Right? Don't just kind of stay indifferent as, well, I don't know how, so I'm not going to do them. That's the worst thing you can do for yourself. So learn your technology. Very, very, very important. Very important. So these are the how-tos that will really increase your results in utilizing third-party credibility. Okay, so now we're continuing the how-to, which now we're talking about number 5, third-party credibility, in person or by phone, right? A is you want to introduce your mentor leader and by edifying them. And then B, you want to introduce your prospect also by edifying them. Very important to edify both parties at kind of an equal level so one doesn't feel belittled by the other person. Very important. Right? And then C, turn the conversation over to your mentor leader and put a duct tape on it. And the reason why we mean that is very often the experienced associate or leader that is part of that third-party credibility is trying to get a certain direction to help you get your prospect to that next goal of yours, where either trying the product or becoming an associate. And if you constantly come in with interrupting the conversation because you may have some questions yourself, I recommend you wait for that after the call is finished, and then you can ask these questions with your upline leader just to make sure that the flow doesn't get cut off all the time. Okay, number 6 is close off the conversation. Okay, so A is the goal for mentor leader is to move your prospect, as we mentioned earlier, to a decision and the next step. Or the next step, really, right? Example, attend a presentation, try the product, or register as an associate, as we mentioned earlier. And B is thank your mentor leader for their time and have the next step for your prospect, right? Very important is you thank your mentor leader for attending, depending on if it's possible that the mentor leader might have already set a time, maybe they helped you set the next step. Based on whatever happened there, you need to make sure that there is a clear next step for your prospect. So if maybe you're more experienced and your leader kind of went through some credibility, make sure before the call is done, what is the next step? Are we following up with a next call with some more information after they review what they have? Or are they willing to get started and get to the next level?
So in conclusion, your role as the associate is to identify your mentor leader partner. B is to identify your prospect. C is to stay quiet during the conversation between your leader and your prospect. And D, to end the call with your prospect with clear next steps. The role of your mentor leader your mentor leader's role, A, is to identify you. B, to bring credibility. C, to build relationship with your prospect. And D, to move prospect to the next steps and desired outcome if possible. And of course, you want to practice. And again, in my opinion, personally, you just do it. And you'll learn from the experience and remember your prospect doesn't know what you're going to talk about. So don't even think for a second that you're messing up. Just be yourself and have your sponsor deliver the message for you. Listen, learn, take notes, because eventually you'll be that third party call-in for your associates down the road.
What's very important in the activities is to actually practice with your mentor, right? The introduction. Very important. What I found in my experience working with associates is the better the introduction, the more clear the introductions are, the better the call will go through and the better results you will have, right? And also very important is practice with a partner, right? Practice introducing between two leaders. Just, again, the person you're with, the person closest to you may not be the third party or the person who has experience, or maybe they are. So practice this as much as you can, but also practice the closing conversation when that call is ending. Very important to turn the conversation, for the mentor to turn the conversation over to you, or to finish the conversation so everything is smooth, so there's no awkward moment here as the conversation ends, so we have a kind of a professional closure on the third party credibility. So this is very important. I mean, practice will make you better, but very important is to take action and do it.
And of course, the fortune is in the follow-up. I'm sure you've heard that over and over and over again. That's a big saying in the network marketing industry, is following up is where you make your money. And as you can see, there's a couple of guys there, one quitting and of course one just driving it. And the truth is the diamonds are there. And you just got to stay focused and keep doing the activities, the prospecting, the inviting, following up, third-party validation over and over and over again. And you'll see you'll get some incredible results in building your business. Never, ever, ever quit. Keep going for it.
So Tammy and I want to thank you for paying attention and following us on this particular program, and we look forward to give you some future trainings as we keep progressing.